Hey besties. Sorry I've been MIA, but just before I got the COVID, I got a job in the real world. So the COVID kind of delayed my start, but I got in and got going, and then I had to work full time for a week and a half. So I haven't had any time to be doing videos or mental capacity because a new job takes a lot of thinking. Anyways, today I just wanted to do something fun. So what I have here is some 100% Cotswold from a sheep named Joey. And I am going to do something I don't normally do, but I'm going to attempt to do it intentionally. I'm going to try to make some pastel locks for spinning. I know, pastels. Have you lost your mind? Did you hear the part about the mental drain from the new job? I thought this might be a fun way to sort of, chill out now that I'm back to just working part-time. I will have another week of work when the full-time girl is on vacation, but basically I work 3 to 5 hours on Fridays. That's it. So it's like the perfect little get me out of the house job for me. But for now, I'm going to adjust the camera and we're going to have some fun trying to make some pastel locks. I don't know how successful I'll be, but I'm going to give it the old college try. Let's get started. Here I have Joey soaking. That's not a whole pile of locks, but it's enough to get us started. Now, the trick to doing pastels is to use a lot of liquid and very little dye and to try to get it to uptake fairly quickly. So the first thing we're going to need to do is get some water boiling and choose our dyes. So I'm going to do that and I'll be back when I'm ready. I have chosen the dyes. We're going to use magenta, periwinkle, and hot fuchsia. It would be interesting to try to make these into pastels. So what I'm going to do is I have my nice 4-cuppers mixing cups. So I'm going to use 1/8 of a teaspoon of dye and 4 full cups of water. And we're going to see what happens. I got to wait for the water to finish boiling, so I'll be back in a minute. We have boiling water. So I put 1/8 of a teaspoon in each of the cups, and I put probably about a tablespoon of citric acid in each one as well. I didn't measure it. I know, bad. I'm just going to use enough hot water to just kind of get those powders to dissolve. And once again, safety warning, wear your mask when you're doing this with powders. Once again, do as I say, not do as I do. As far as your safety is concerned. Okay, so that's the magenta. This is the hot fuchsia. That's the oven letting me know it's up to temperature. And then we have the periwinkle. Now, because these two are very pink, I think I'll put them at either end and I'll put the magenta in the middle. The magenta looks very brown. Oh, there's a little bit of fluff in there. Let's get that out of there. Okay. So we have our dyes are all dissolved. That's the word. Just going to top them all the way up. To 4 cups. They still look pretty dark, but trust me, once we put them in, Well, the aerator got this one a little too bubbly. She's still bubbly. It's funny, this one bubbled way more than the other ones. Makes you wonder what's in the mix, right? Okay, I just got to get the bubbles down enough to be able to top up the water. All right, there we go. And let's just rearrange things a little bit here. And we're going to add color. Okay, there's my spoon. Here is my spoon. We're going to start with this one. It's still coming out pretty bright. Guess I could have gone with even less dye than that. All right, less than 1/8 of a teaspoon next time, guys. Now, because we have to use so much water, we're going to get a lot of blending. And the last one, Mr. Fluffy. Wow, those colors really don't go well together. This one and this one do, because they make this cool purple in the middle. But this one is just way too strong. So, hot fuchsia is out. Or just fuchsia, not hot fuchsia. Hot. Yeah, it is hot fuchsia. No, that's magenta, isn't it? That's the magenta. That's the hot fuchsia. Okay. So we want hot fuchsia and periwinkle. This one is going to go in the oven because this is nowhere near pastel. We're going to go again and we're going to use even less dye and see what we end up with. So let me get this in the oven. We'll get the next pan prepped and we're going to go again because I want pastels. I know, it's unheard of. Pan number 2. I have a big leaf bag full of Joey here. So I get some of this in the pan. That should be good enough. Gonna take it over to the sink and get it wet. All right. Get this soaked in here. I should have used warm water and I didn't. So let's get some warm water on it. We'll get better penetration into the wool to get it all wet. All right, warm water. Yeah, see how much better that works? Joey still has a lot of lanolin left in him. So getting to penetrate that, that's like the waterproofing on the wool, can be tricky sometimes. Okay. We have Joey soaking. So here's our 1/8 of a teaspoon. That was way too much. So I'm going to take our hot fuchsia. And we're going to try for like a 1/16. I don't actually have a teaspoon, which is a 1/16. Maybe we'll go even less. We're going to go with just that much powder. That's my hot water. I'm going to use to rinse my spoon. Okay. I mean, we are using the teeniest amount and it's still coming out pretty bright. But hopefully that'll ease up. And then we're going to take our periwinkle and aim for about the same amount. That looks about right. Oh, that's looking better. Okay, let's top this up. Wow, these are some strong dyes. That's 4 cups of water and it's still got some good color going on there. Okay, just give it a quick stir here. The pink is looking pretty good. Because it's hot fuchsia, it's always going to be intense. But this periwinkle is still looking pretty dark. And you saw how much dye I used. Like, almost none. If this doesn't work, we're going to be like down to a couple little specks of dye to try for pastel. All right, here we go. Oh, that's better. Oh, that's gorgeous. I like that. I tossed my spoon. Oh, that's about what I'm looking for right there. That kind of pastel pink. Oh, yeah, I like that. I'm whispering like some sort of creeper. All right, I'm going to add the rest in, but in a minute. I want to get this periwinkle on over here. Oh, there it is, baby. That's what I was looking for. That kind of just a hint of color. All right, now I saved some of that pink because what I want to do, because the pink is still, see, the periwinkle is just barely a color, but the pink is definitely still in there. So what I'm going to do next is take this leftover pink. We're going to kind of blend it into the middle, kind of mix those colors together. There we go. All right, so our pink is still coming out pretty intense, but I think that's more the nature of the dye because it is, you know, an intense shade, hot fuchsia. But where you can see it blending, it's coming out so cool. And into this almost not there periwinkle. I almost want to just make a little more periwinkle in there. I shouldn't muck with it, right? I'm always mucking with it. But I really want just the teeniest little bit more color in the periwinkle. So here we go. I don't even want that much because I'm not going to mix it with 4 cups. I'm going to go with just that few little flakes. It's about all it is. You can barely see it in the bottom of the cup. It's like a little splooge of color. Okay, there. Right there is where I wanted. Just enough water to make it that pale shade. And then I'm just going to add that on. I still want a little more. I got a pastel and I'm just not happy with it, right? Just a little more. I know everybody's like, stop it, you got pastels. I don't know what is wrong with me that I can't just leave it alone. Okay, just that much. Just a splish splash of water. A little bit. Okay, that's it. No more. It's like I need it here just to darken it up a little bit. But I want that kind of patchy color that's happening here. Now, I haven't added any citric acid to this at all. But now that I've got my colors on, oh, look at that. We are going to mix hot fuchsia and periwinkle at some point to make a solid color. Because this is gorgeous. It's looking much darker in the camera than it is in actual real life. This is like literally like a hint of color. This is probably a little more accurate. That hot fuchsia is some intense dye, let me tell you. Okay, there's one other thing we can do to this end just to lighten it up a bit. Just gonna grab a handful more locks, plop them right on top. Let them soak up some of that pink to maybe lighten it up a little bit. Because that hot fuchsia, man, that's intense. I mean, it's a very pretty color, but we literally have to use like a speck of it to get a nice pastel. But I'm loving this blend. So gorgeous. And this seems to be pulling it down to where I want it. Okay, good. May still need a bit more fleece. Just going to add a bit of color into here. Yeah, that hot fuchsia. And this is it. Like, you can dye by the numbers. So literally take detailed notes and know exactly and blah, 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 and by weight and everything else. And depending on the dye, it can still affect your outcome. Because I used virtually the same amount of the periwinkle as I did of the pink. And yet the pink was way more intense. Initially, that is. I mean, I know I added a bunch more periwinkle, but that was on purpose. So you can see this section here is kind of what I was going for. And I think I'm going to add just a bit more fleece on this end, just to soak up a bit more of that pink. Because the periwinkle is darn near perfect. It's giving it like silvery tips and some blue and oh, so gorgeous. All right, a little bit more. just to try to pull down that pink a bit. There we go. Much better. Okay. That's much, much better. All right, now we just need to add some citric acid and pop it in the oven. So, I'm going to use my periwinkle cup because there's really no color left in that. And use about a half cup of citric acid because we all know I love a heavy hand with the citric acid. Use the last amount of hot water. When you're doing this, if you're going to get some citric acid, invest in the food grade. Oh my goodness, it is amazing. Okay. I want this in to uptake some dye quicker. Get some in the middle. And then we're going to just kind of pull this, slosh it around. Get that citric acid all mushed in there. Oh yeah, I'm liking that pink now. So we probably doubled the amount of locks we had in the pink just to pull that color down to where I'm happy with it. And I'm gonna get our mids mixed and then our end. That periwinkle's pretty much gone. It's absorbed. So now we're just waiting on the pink. And I think that the pinks have a really hard time exhausting. Okay, so what if I just shove this up a bit so we can spread this out a little more, because our periwinkle is pretty much absorbed. And I want to kind of spread this out a bit, get a little more color into it. There we go. Now we're talking. All right. So this will just need to be heated. So I got to wait for the first batch to come out of the oven. That'll be about another 4 minutes. That's probably close enough, right? We can check on it. So let's switch our pans around. Got to protect the counter with my butterfly trivet. See how this is doing. Probably going to steam you out for a minute. Or not. Yeah, it hasn't even gotten, well, the water temperature is good. Oh, look at this. Is so pretty. I love that hot fuchsia periwinkle combo. I just love it. But there's still a shit ton, that's a technical term, of dye left in here. Wow, that was just 1/8 of a teaspoon, guys, and look at what we got. But I tell you what we're gonna do. Rather than using more locks, I have this big batch of BFL rolling. There we go. I'm doing this lengthwise, so I'll have little patches of color rather than widthwise, which would give me runs of the color. It would give me the runs. Oh, I have such a juvenile sense of humor. Oh. I'm just going to gradually push this down. Okay, while we're doing this, I'm going to pop the other pan in the oven. So we're not wasting oven time. This is the problem with using that much water. It takes a long time to heat, and the pans are really heavy. So we're going to give that one 25 minutes. And we're going to see about getting this to sink without dyeing our hands is the trick. I'm going to do it. Stop it. There's citric acid in there. It's going to hurt. Well, it looks like we lost our periwinkle. This is what happens when Tammy messes about. Oh well. The lock should still be good. And this is why you pre-soak your roving, because it floats. It's slightly hydrophobic, so you have to kind of breach that barrier. Yeah, it's just going to overwhelm that periwinkle, I think. Well, you know, we can fix this. I mean, the whole point of putting this was to be dye soppers, but we could also play with it and just add a bit more periwinkle in the middle. Or I could just leave it the hell alone. I am so horrible for just like, no, I can't leave it alone. I want to add more color. I want to add this. I want to do that. I'm going to leave it the hell alone. Yes, I am. Okay. Stop. Stop it. So, we'll let this one just soak all that stuff up. We're going to put it on top of the stove. Keep it a little bit warm. Timer's gone off. Let's see what we got. Ooh, I like it. Still a little bit of color left, but nothing too serious. Move that around a little bit. And our periwinkle is darn near perfect. All right, so I think we're just going to let that cool and the rest of that color should absorb. I'm going to pop the extreme color one in the oven for 20 minutes and we'll see how it's doing. Back in a bit. And it's the next day. Here we go. Here's our pastels. The pinks did turn out a little more intense than I had intended, but overall, I'm pleased with the colors. I would end up adding again more of the periwinkle, probably. But it gives like a nice peachy tone where it's gotten into those lanolin-filled tips. So it's going to make an interesting yarn, regardless. And then we have our tray of brights. These did not come out pastel at all. So there's a roving. It did get a little bit of the periwinkle in it, but not much at all. It's mostly just pinks. But they're nice pinks. And they're tonal. And I think it'll spin up really nice. But here's our intense color. This I just adore. With the pink on the tips making it almost purple, and then the periwinkle base, and oh, so pretty. And the curls are so lovely. But there's our results. So now we get to spin it. Now this fleece is interesting because it has sections. This is a 100% Cotswold. So it has sections that are of these looser curls that are basically just more waves than curls. And then we have sections where it's curly curls. And I want to work with the curly curls. So, there we go. I'm going to put this up here for now. And I'm just going to pick out a basket of curls to spin with, like this. It's fantastic. Just going to break up those curls a little bit. And we're just going to do lock spun, my favorite. And we're going to try to preserve those tips so that when we spin it in, we get those little bits of texture. And you can see here that there's not a whole lot of dye in this section. It's kind of more towards the base, and the tips are pretty much white, but that's all right. I'm just going to work with it. And I think I might make a 2-ply. We'll go very lock spun with this, and then we're just going to open locks and spin them straight from the fleece. Okay, I think first we're going to spin our straight ply, and then we'll spin our lock spun, and then we will ply them together. And this, because I'm so extra, this is my new spinning lap cloth, because everything will just slide right off it. I got it at a secondhand shop really cheap, so I thought it was gorgeous and I wanted to use it, so that's what I'm doing. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up this fiber, just going to pick it open, and I'm just going to spin right from the cloud. No prep but my hands, because you don't need fancy tools. They help, but you don't need them. Okay. I could spend hours just sitting and picking open fiber. I love it. It's a very zen thing for me, and I don't know why, but it is. And yet I love working with locks. So, you know, there it is. I'm a study in contradictions. Okay, that should be more than enough. I don't plan on spinning a whole lot, so we will start with the blue. There's another second cut. Just get those plucked out, because I don't want too much texture in this ply. Okay, here we go. I'm literally just spinning from the cloud. So I guess this would probably be classed as a semi-worsted or a semi-woolen, because I'm spinning worsted, but the prep method is definitely woolen. The strands are going every which way. But you can see how, with just your hands, you can prep your fleece for spinning. It's not hard, and you can do it right at your wheel, and you don't need any fancy tools. Now this Cotswold is quite long, so my drafting zone needs to be fairly long. And I'm not spending a lot of time to make a really even ply because I'm plying it with lock spun, so it's going to be inherently uneven. So I don't see the point in, it's another bit of a second cut. I don't see the point in spending time to concentrate on making it absolutely perfect when I want the texture. So apparently I'm going to have a finish it Friday empty the bobbins because they're all full. I got bits and bobs everywhere. Okay. Well, that'll be our next project. Okay, so now we need our locks. Here we go. Charge up our leader. And get that on the wheel. And now we are going to start our lock spin. Come a little closer, ease up on the tension a little bit. Okay, so how I'm spinning these locks is kind of like if the base is spread out, just wrap that on, push the twisty bit up, and wrap it. So it's like a coreless core spinning technique, but we're using it with locks. That got a little bit out of control. Okay. Oof. Increase my uptake here. It just keeps adding twist. Okay. Let's see if we can get some of that twist out. Because too much twist can be a bad thing. It's mostly just built up in the leader, so let's see how this goes. Okay. There. I think I've got enough uptake now. All right. There's our lock spun ply. Wow, I just completely zoned out there. I was just right in the zone. Oh, we got a bobbin. Beautiful. Okay. So we spun S, so we're going to apply Z. Get our leader charged up. Since it's the first time, it's going to take a bit of twist. There we go. Upper plies here. And we're going to knot them together. And start plying. I got to put it on my other side. I've been trying to teach myself how to ply with the yarn on my left side, and I just can't do it yet. Just doesn't work for me. There. All right, I think I'm organized now. Let's go. In typical Dr. Chaos fashion, I filmed making this yarn, and I just sat there chatting with you for hours, only to find out that my camera was full and it stopped recording. You missed an intense conversation. So what I'm going to do is I'll just show you the final product, and I'm going to post the video anyways, because, you know, we don't want to waste all that. And it's not like I can unspin the yarn and redo it. So we ended up with 1 ply of lock spun and 1 ply of just picking it open and spinning it. And here's our final yarn. And it's this lovely pastel colorway, which was what I was going for. It's quite lovely. I did end up with more of the just opened and spun than I did with the lock spun, so I just chain plied it. And you can see here the texture varies across the yarn. And I think it's kind of fun. And I managed to make and spin pastels intentionally. I have made pastels, but unintentionally. This time I did it intentionally. So that's it for today, guys. I've got a big project I'm working on. Here's your sneak peek. Oh, what's that? Whoa, sneak peek over. So stay tuned for that. And I shall see you in the next video. Bye.